you ever seen a man move across the country? My man, Chef Richard. My man, Chef Richard. Straight from California. California.
Yeah, that's right, folks. Straight from California, right here to beautiful Murrells Inlet. And I don't think a day goes by that I don't thank God that I'm here. It's a great place to live. Great people, great food. For most of the time, the weather's pretty nice. I don't mind the baking middle of the summer at all. I do mind when I see snow flurries. Can't stand that. Anyway, welcome back to talking about food. Well, remember, we're pretty much the only food commentary show on the Grand Strand. We talk about everything to do with food. And my guest in the studio today is Christine Bonaparte. You may recognize the last name because her husband has been on a number of times. He is Chef Joe Bonaparte of the International Culinary Academy. And the last time that he was on, before we started the show, he said, hey, you know what? My wife Christine's got this great idea. Why don't you interview chefs' wives? And I was like, that is brilliant. So who do I start with first? The easiest one to find, but Christine Bonaparte. Christine, thanks so much for coming on to talking about food.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Richard.
Oh, no, it's such a great idea. How did you come up with that?
Well, a number of years ago when Joe was still working at the Art Institute of Houston, they did, he and a few of the other chefs in the Houston area had a special dinner honoring Patrick Clark, who was a chef who had passed away before his time due to an illness. And he left his wife and a few young children without much savings. And so they put together this dinner. And I remember reading the foreword to his book. His wife said something to the effect that she never had to worry about him straying because he spent so much time in the kitchen. And I'm sure you've heard that many times before, that the kitchen is really where all of the time is spent. And it's similar to the idea of a mistress.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. Oh, that's so interesting. How long have you and Jeff been married? Joe, sorry. How long have you and Chef Joe been married?
25 years.
Oh, us too. 25 years. That's a long time. That's a quarter century. Would you have considered yourself, I hate to use this word because it's just used so loosely, but you'll understand. Would you have considered yourself a foodie before you guys met?
Not really.
No. So before you met, what did your we'll say evening meals consist of on average?
Probably a lot of prepackaged food. I was pretty good at opening canned items, heating them up. I knew how to make a few things, but not a lot.
But it wasn't something that was at your core. You weren't. Were you the type that was searching out the latest hip, trendy restaurants?
Not at all.
No. This is going in a very interesting direction because it sounds like I'm talking to my wife. Do you ever cook?
I do on occasion. It's interesting because Joe truly loves cooking. Yeah. So when he's home, he wants to take over.
He does.
And usually because he works a little bit later than I do, I'll end up preparing something on the weekdays, but it's usually reinventing something that he had made over the weekend.
Oh, is that right?
I'm good at inventing leftovers.
Yeah. So that's how your meals are determined, that typically during the week you're kind of handling it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the weekend, it's stay out of the kitchen. It's Joe's domain. Or do you help out ever? Does he ever say, "Hey, can you dice these carrots"?
I am the steward of our kitchen, which means that I get out the food, I'll wash it. If it needs to be peeled or anything, I'll do that, and then I'll put it by the cutting board. He cuts it.
Wow.
So
man, he's lucky. I was just going to, this whole thing is based on the predicate that you're the one who's going to be the lucky one. But coming from a chef's point of view, you're like the prep nurse getting ready for the surgeon. That's amazing.
And
I can't wait for my wife to hear this.
I'll clean up, like if he leaves scraps of something, I'll take that out of his way. And then sometimes we're almost fighting over who gets to wash the dishes because he's a clean as you go type guy. And as we finish using something, we'll start cleaning it. And when it's closer to finished, we're reaching into the sink together, trying to figure out who's going to clean it and who's going to wipe the counter or whatever it might be that we're working on.
Would he prefer at that, and this is so interesting to me, probably the listeners won't give a darn about it, but would he prefer to do the cleanup himself?
That is a really good question. I know that he feels like it's his Zen time where he kind of decompresses, almost a meditative state when he's going through that. So I don't know. I think he probably appreciates that I'm helping out,
right? And
not just sitting down and, I don't know, sipping a glass of water or something.
Yeah.
Hey, you missed that spot.
Yeah. No, I kind of get that. I think I was telling him, or maybe on another episode, that in my restaurant in Los Angeles, we had a rush from about 5:30 to, if we were lucky, 9 o'clock, and it would get pretty intense. And once it was over, I'd go back into the kitchen and tell the dishwasher to go take a break so that I could take over and just decompress. So, are you the type of diner that likes to try new stuff?
Going to say it depends.
Let me put it a different way. Would you consider yourself a difficult person to please food-wise?
Once again, it depends.
Yeah. Explain that.
Well, when we travel, a lot of times Joe follows people in the places where we're going, and he wants to go try the food.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. The last time we went to New York, he was thinking about going to this one place, but when he looked at the menu, some of the items, he knew I would have probably turned all shades of green just reading the description of whatever it was. I am much better than I was when he met me. And I do like to adventure, but some things are just still a little too strange for me.
Like what? What would you typically shy away from? And it sounds like it's 25 years. He knows your tastes pretty well. I'm the same way with Heidi. I will literally bust out laughing aloud, reading through a food magazine, through a recipe, and I will just burst out laughing because I know if I even read this to Heidi, she'd gag.
Well, some seafoods, I still
like what?
Octopus.
Yeah, that's considered adventurous. I could understand that.
I've tried it, but I probably should try it again.
Yeah.
Organ meats, I really have a hard time with those. Yeah,
I'm not big on that. I'll tell you something. I think I've said it a couple of times, and other chefs just look at me like I'm nuts. I don't like wild game. I don't even like handling it. I'm sure it's some weird psychological thing because, he handled raw beef. What's the difference between that and raw venison? But it just, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like you're a difficult person to please food-wise. He knows what you like. What is the most favorite dish that comes to mind that Joe puts together? I'm sure there's tons of them, but
there are so many. But one thing that I really enjoy when he makes is bolognese.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant with our daughter, he got to go to Bologna to an international cooking exhibition / competition making tagliatelle bolognese.
Yeah.
So I'm 6 months pregnant, and he's making it every day. The fresh pasta from scratch, and then the bolognese. And I must have eaten it every day for 2 or 3 weeks, and I probably still could.
Still could. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Now, is it that dish in particular or the way Chef Joe puts it together? Because you've had it out a number of times, I'm sure.
Probably the way he does it. As they say, when you're cooking with love, it always tastes better, and that's definitely his love language.
Yeah.
He'll say, he'll ask me what I want, and if he makes it, then I know, he's really cares about me.
Yeah. That's sweet. That's sweet. What's your least favorite dish? What comes to mind that he put together and you taste it, you go,
A long time ago, he was making rice, and we were still back in Houston, so very early on, and we didn't have any tomato sauce, and he put ketchup in it, and I'm not a ketchup person.
In the rice. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder what he was trying to do there.
I'm sorry, Joe.
Yeah, well,
Didn't mean to call you out.
Yeah, interesting. My next question is, how does he handle feedback? Do you feel like you've got to tiptoe with him, or you can be straightforward and say, you know what, I like this, but I like it better this way, or not crazy about this one, Joe?
I think he handles it pretty well. The one thing he doesn't like is when I try to tell him how to cook it, because...
You mean as he's cooking it?
Yes.
Oh,
and I get that, because I don't want him telling me how to do stuff that I know more about.
Yeah.
So he'll say, I know how to cook.
You know how many times, because Heidi likes her red meat well done. Mm-hmm. And she'll say, it's certainly not my favorite, but to each his own. To each their own. I'll say, how many times have I cooked this for you? Do you think I don't know that by now? So,
right.
But overall, he's pretty good with it, with feedback. He just doesn't like you telling him as he's cooking it.
Right. I mean, very rarely have I been displeased with a dish that he's made.
Yeah.
But sometimes we'll talk about how good something is, and then we'll discuss how we can make it better next time,
right.
Which is always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you're luckier than most married women, being that you've been married to a chef?
Since I am not a very good cook, yes.
Yeah. I mean, do you truly think about that? Because I
right.
wonder, me being a chef, I think sometimes about, and especially the fact that Heidi is just like you were before getting married, that food, I mean, she likes food, but she's not going to venture out to some hip, new, trendy place. She's just not going to do it. She is your classic meat and potatoes kind of person. So I think sometimes, because I can't hang a picture, I literally cannot hang a picture. If she sees me with a hammer, she wants to know what's going on. That maybe she would have benefited more if I were a contractor or something like that.
Well, I once had a friend say something about being a food adventurer. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've always enjoyed in my life is travel. And if you think about eating, in a way, if you're eating certain foods, you are traveling to that place and experiencing it.
Yeah.
And
well, that's a great way of looking at it.
It's a new way to experience the world through a different sense that we don't often think about when we think about experiencing the world. Right.
Oh, that's terrific. It's a beautiful way of presenting that. And I think about it often that coming from Los Angeles, which is this food mecca. I mean, from block to block, I could go from Mexican to Thai to African, and we obviously don't have that here. Although some of the ethnicities are growing here, which Joe and I talked about a number of times, which is kind of cool. If Chef Joe doesn't cook one night and he says, "Let's go out," what's the first restaurant that comes to mind for you?
Well, now that it's reopened, Seoul,
yeah. Chef Joe was saying that. Yeah.
I missed being able to go eat there.
Yeah.
The moles there are outstanding.
Yeah.
And plus, the chef owner and his wife, who's also a chef, are really nice people.
That always helps. Always helps a business. So they've reopened. How long have they been reopened?
A week or two.
Oh, that's all.
Yes.
Oh, so then Joe must have been saying they were getting ready to open. So have you been back since they've been open?
We have not had time yet.
Oh, okay. All
Soon.
right. Yeah. Any other restaurant that comes to mind?
Well, we like to order sushi out. We go to Hayashi.
Hayashi, yeah, I've been there.
In Murrells Inlet. We don't eat out a lot, I guess.
Neither do we. Neither do we. If we do, it's usually pizza or a burger, which is, I've said this a million times on the show, that when people find out about my background, they just immediately assume that I only want fine dining restaurants. First of all, I can't afford fine dining but once or twice a year.
Right.
But I just have always gravitated towards those little hole-in-the-wall places like you were just talking about that serve great food. They, most of the time are these ethnic places where you just feel catapulted, back to that particular country. Christine, any other restaurants that come to mind?
Well, there are two other restaurants that we enjoy going to. One is El Chepo, which is across from Socastee High School. If you like cactus, you are in for a real treat. The salsa that they give you.
Cactus salsa?
Cactus salsa.
Wow.
Everything there is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And even a friend of mine who really likes octopus enjoyed their octopus there.
Maybe you should try it, Christine.
Maybe I should.
Yeah.
And the first time we went there, they had whole grilled rabbit.
Oh, wow.
And just things that you wouldn't anticipate.
Did you eat that?
I have not eaten it there, but I have had rabbit.
And?
So it's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of those that I'm a little iffy about. I had it a couple of times way back. And then I went to this restaurant and they served it on this platter, and the way they presented it, it looked like a rabbit that was running in full stride. And it just immediately turned me off. It sounds like you gravitate towards Mexican, or are there other restaurants?
Oh, there's another one that I've been to a few times called Atmosphere.
Love it.
Me
Absolutely
too.
love it. Yep.
Everything I've had is great, from the falafel to the borscht. And the pierogies, they're pretty good too.
Yeah, I've been there more than once. I think I like the atmosphere about it. I love when they. I don't know if you felt this way, but when you first walk up to the place, it's almost like you're walking towards a McDonald's. It's got that real commercial feel. But as soon as you step in, they have these nice little touches of these French metal bowls with herbs in them and stuff. I think the value for the food there is good. The chefs are right out front there, mostly women. I don't know if it's still that way. It's a really, really cool place. Well, Christine Bonaparte, wife of Chef Joe Bonaparte, I can't thank you enough for coming in. If you know other chefs' wives, or if any of the 2.2 million people who are listening today happen to be married to a chef, reach out to me, because I'd love to have you on the show. But seriously, Christine, if you know anybody, I want this to be a regular thing. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. And coming up after the break, I've got coming in, I think he's probably the best food influencer in the Grand Strand. Influencer, actually, technically he's not an influencer. And we'll discuss that when he comes in. He's going to be talking about some of the restaurants that he likes, some of the best in 2025. Hang on, folks. We'll be right back.
Now he's in South Carolina. He traded the surf for the pines and bars. Now he only cooks for stars. Yeah, he only cooks for stars. He sharpens his blade with a quiet swish. Now he's gonna cook you a delicious dish. As soon as he can catch some fish, and we'll wait.
Yeah. If I could catch some fish one of these days, I'll be able to put them on a plate. Welcome back, talking about food. This is the last episode of 2025. So I feel it's only right that I have one of my favorite guests, a good friend, dear friend, he and his wife, in the studio. There's not another Facebook influencer that does more for the small business restaurant community than this man. And doing so, it educates the readers. And I'll explain the whole influencer thing, why I've labeled him an influencer. He doesn't typically report on high-end, expensive places. He serves to the readers affordable, good value restaurants that provide good food, and it is purely what he does, purely altruistically driven. His name's Jack Gregory of Murrells, Inlet, Foodies, and Entertainment. Jack, welcome back to Talking About Food.
Good morning, Rich. Glad to be back with you, old friend.
One of my favorites. One of my favorites, if not my favorite. I just wanted to touch on this influencer thing because food influencers can often get a bad image, and sometimes deservedly so. The food influencing scene has gotten so big, you never know what's real and what's not, who's getting paid, who isn't getting paid. But I have been with you, I don't know, 25, 50 times at restaurants. I know how you operate. Jack, have you ever taken any money for the wonderful post you put up on Facebook?
I'm proud to say I have not.
Have you ever accepted free food from these places?
Not even a piece of toast.
Which is one of the reasons why I love you so much, and know that when you're talking about food and specific restaurants, you're telling the truth. Why do you do this? You don't have to.
No, it's kind of fun. That my wife and I used to travel a lot. We'd get in the car and be gone 3 or 4 months, but because of some health concerns, now we go out. That's our entertainment, is going out to eat. And having owned a small restaurant before, I know the variables of a restaurant.
And you were successful at it.
Well, I was moderately successful. I made a good bit of money, I guess.
Yeah, well, you make any money in a restaurant today, it's considered successful. But the reason why I bring up that your success is that has a lot to do with the reviews, for lack of a better word, that you give to restaurants. You've been there. You've done it. You know the entire operation of a restaurant. See, this is one of the things that still slightly bothers me about the influencer craze is it seems like anybody with an iPhone camera can walk into a restaurant and become a food influencer with having little to no restaurant background. You do.
Yeah. Having owned several restaurants, I know that there's so many variables that can have something go wrong, and that we go in and that we just want to promote family-owned restaurants. Now, Rich, we don't do any franchise big corporation restaurants.
Right.
We don't do a review on Texas Roadhouse.
Right.
We'll go into a family-owned restaurant and tell you what we like about this food.
Right.
Now, there are times in there that there's something we don't like. We tell the restaurant owners about it. We don't discuss anything that's like, it was okay. Because we both know what okay actually means.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
just so that I'm clear and for the listeners, if there's something wrong with the place, you're not going to post it. You're going to first tell the owner or the management to see how they react to it.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And we'll come back. Or maybe, like we were at one restaurant and Beth said, you know what, I just don't like this sandwich. It's something. I said, no problem. I took a bite and I went, I think this is great.
Yeah,
so
see that?
You can have my cheeseburger and I'm going to eat this Reuben.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, the cheeseburger's great. So obviously, food is subjective.
Yes, it is.
We do not want to, because one negative thing can hurt a restaurant.
Right.
And you owned a restaurant before, you know how things work, that it doesn't take much to where you're losing money.
Yeah. And there's not much money. There's not a big
margin.
Thank you. For profit. I think it's if you do 5% of total sales over the year, you're pretty lucky.
You're in the top 10 if you're doing that much.
Now you gotta imagine that, folks. If you make $100,000 in total sales for the year, that's like $5,000. $5,000. So you have to understand how much money you have to make total sales over the course of a year to make a reasonable amount of return.
Absolutely, because most people that I've found that's in the food business, in the restaurant, they absolutely love what they're doing. They're working 80, 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
They love what they're doing. There's a lot of high-end restaurants and a lot of successful restaurants that make a lot of money in there. But for the most part, it's such a volatile business.
Yeah, and I've never met anybody. I've never met anybody in the restaurant business that, when approached by someone who wants to start a business, they don't tell them, no, you don't want to get involved in it. Everybody says the same thing. It's such hard work. It's not nearly as romantic as people like to think it is. You know, people have this image that they're going to open a restaurant and then walk around with a glass of wine all night and talk to the customers. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
I can attest to that, because I look at the people, they live and breathe it every day.
Yeah.
And that's what concerns me, that these so-called food influencers go out there and they'll give a negative review, or just an average person will go on Google and give a terrible review, but they never, ever told management about it.
Yeah.
So that's a concern to me, that I see that, and that obviously that when we go out and there's times that it's just not right, we will tell management. And on my Murrells, Inlet, Foodies, and Entertainment, I tell people, you can give an honest assessment of your experience. If it was bad, you must, for me to keep the comment up there, you must have at least told management about it, and give them a chance to rectify the situation.
That's great advice there. I like that. I take that myself. The other thing too is, if somebody tells me about a restaurant, or I should say, if more than one person has told me about a restaurant and I go there and I don't enjoy it, I definitely give it a second chance.
Absolutely. People should do that, because, I mean, the menus are so large now. I love places that go with a small menu.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
To get it right.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
But Rich, that the Grand Strand has so many restaurants, and they're opening up more and more.
Right.
People are putting in their life savings in here to try to live out their dream. They love food. And they want to make some money on it.
Of course.
But I'll add a lot of friends in there that I see that I know that they're struggling. And I don't know, it was a restaurant recently up in Little River that's been around for a long time. And it was announced that they were closing, and they denied every bit of it. Oh, no, we're not closing. They continued on to sell gift certificates. Came out 2 weeks later that the bank had foreclosed on them.
Oh boy. That's criminal.
Wow. That's not, but that has happened before.
Yeah.
But the problem that you have is that it gives all these other people a bad name that's actually trying to sell gift certificates.
Right.
That have, like a restaurant like Sarah J's that's been in business 40 years.
Yeah.
They go to sell gift certificates, and people are like, but they know Sarah J's is going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So just so the listeners understand, you and I are former restaurant owners. We're not, and I want you to chime in on this, we're not saying that restaurants deserve more leeway than any other business.
No, absolutely not. But you should tell them and be exactly what was wrong with it, and give them an opportunity.
Right.
Because when I own the restaurants that I own, any complaint, that's exactly what I looked at as, here's an opportunity to learn something that's not right, fix it, because if I fix it, that customer's going to come back, and he's also going to tell a bunch of people on there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in there, sometimes the restaurant's just not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
That can happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you go into a restaurant and you have a bad meal, because of so many variables, there's a high probability that could happen.
Yeah.
And you don't tell somebody about it, and you immediately go to Facebook and blast them.
Yeah.
You're doing a disservice to that restaurant,
Right.
to those people, and especially that locally owned restaurants, these people that coach Little League, that sponsor your events in there. This is their way of making a living and putting food on the table. Give everybody an opportunity to fix it.
Yeah. Can you remember any complaints in the restaurants that you had that you actually,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The restaurant I had in Chester, South Carolina, my hometown, it was called the First Tee, had a golf motif.
Yeah.
And we had this huge salad bar there. Well, a customer came up one time and they were talking about the dressings. And I said, no, our dressings aren't homemade and stuff. And she was like, well, this is a high price for a salad bar without homemade dressings. I said, I've never thought about it like that. I said, besides, every time I come up here, it seems like the broccoli doesn't taste quite right. Mm. Okay, I understand. What can I do to help you? And she's like, well, maybe you could get somebody to make you some homemade dressings. I said, probably could, but what is the issue right now that I could help you with? And she's like, well, I come here to eat all the time, and I just wanted to let you know my feelings on it. I said, well, I appreciate your feedback on that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, exactly what dressing do you like? She said, well, my preference is ranch dressing. I thought, well, that's kind of an easy fix because you can buy those little packets and stuff. So I had the chef to do that.
Yeah.
And she came back in, and I said, hey, guess what? Chef come out and said, taste this here. She said, oh, that's delicious. Well, now how that little packet that you can mix with your buttermilk, and a few other ingredients,
sour cream,
sour cream,
and
she became such a great customer that she ended up having she owned a business,
right?
Had her Christmas party there.
Wow, because
of making some ranch dressing.
Yeah, and it wasn't even necessarily quote homemade.
No, it was.
You went through the effort to satisfy what she was. It
didn't come out of a bottle.
Yeah, and it translated into more business.
Absolutely.
Instead of taking a completely different position where you may have said, what the heck do you know? I'm not going to do anything like that.
Well, there's one other thing I want to tell you, Rich. When I had California Pizza, we had a customer that complained about, said, you know what, I like cheese all over my pizza, even on the crust, very end of it.
Right.
I went, okay. He said, I said, but that's extra cheese. We're going to charge you. Oh, no, I don't think you should charge me. I said, you know what, no problem. You order from me every week. Just tell us who you are. We're going to make sure that we put cheese all the way around on your crust. Well, we did that, and several other people like, I like that too. That became a signature of California Pizza.
That's amazing.
We had cheese all the way around the crust so you could eat the whole pizza.
Yeah, and you could have easily taken the position that said, you know what, that's not the way you make pizza. and look what happened. I recently saw your back and forth with the restaurant called the Grumpy Monk. Did you want to talk about this a little bit? I think it's apropos because we're just getting off the subject of how to make the customers feel important when they make a suggestion for a change in your restaurant.
Rich, I'm fine with that. I think that's something that I was actually taken aback by it.
Yeah,
by the response that I got. I had commented on their page one time that somebody had made a complaint and something, and my very response was, I looked at it as an opportunity not to go after somebody and bash them,
right?
Fix the problem on there, and I was met with something that I wasn't prepared for.
Really?
Yeah,
I saw part of it, and just so the listeners know, I've reached out to the Grumpy Monk to come on the show. I haven't heard back from them yet, but yeah, explain.
Well,
Because I was there with you.
Right.
I enjoyed myself there.
Yeah, but listen, I've actually been there 26 times last year.
Wow.
And I look back and I said, I'm a numbers guy. I look back at my credit card thing. I spent $1,103 there last year.
Oh, wow.
So I came prepared today.
Yeah.
But what had happened is that they viewed their comments as she said, they deleted my comment. And I simply said, why would you delete my comment? And they're like, it doesn't fit our narrative and our brand.
What was the comment again?
Well, I just said I looked at something as a complaint, as an opportunity, instead of bashing somebody.
So they bashed somebody.
Right. And I thought that was inappropriate because somebody didn't agree with their food.
Right.
They actually went after them pretty vengeant.
Oh.
And I thought, I see you do that often. I don't agree with it. I look at it as an opportunity to fix the problem. And
like you just explained.
Right.
Yeah, the anecdotes you just explained, yeah.
And they deleted. Then I said, well, why did you delete my comment? Well, you need to say something that makes the grumpy, makes the mustache laugh. I went, well, then you should have a disclaimer on your page that says, don't disagree with any of our comments. They said, oh, it's just satire. I get satire. But I thought when you say forced Southern charm, I thought, well.
What do you think they meant by that?
Well, they said it's satire. That they said that we like our Detroit attitude, which is fine with me. Look, I want you. We such a diverse community.
Yes,
that's great. But saying something like that took me back a little bit, and then said, "Oh, it's just satire." So when I say something that disagrees with you, you delete it. That is not satire.
I see.
That is just controlling the narrative as exactly what you want. So it went back and forth a little bit. And then I said, well, you know what? I'm going to disagree with you. And then they said, well, just whatever your heart desires. I also said, now, look, I want you to understand something. When you first opened up, I came into your restaurant and I posted on several different social media platforms that had 200,000 listeners. I took my good friend, Richard Florshak.
I know him.
That's a chef to the star, private chef to the stars there. He came in, we ate, and we put it on Facebook. It got, 1,600 and something likes and 164,000 views.
Wow.
That kind of publicity, and people see me on the street like, oh, yeah, I love this place.
How much do they pay you for that?
Oh, you know what? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But not only that, we went back again. I went with my wife several times. We go there often. At least, I was looking like, 1 month we went there 4 times in a month. I tell you, I spent $1,100 and something in a year. Now, if you offend 100 people like that, that's a lot of money that's a lot of money that you've thrown away.
Let me ask you something, because you were saying earlier about how sometimes correcting the problem at the request of the customer ends up a win-win for both you, the business owner, and the customer. After having spent $1,100 there over the course of the year, you've been there how many times in the year? You said
26 times.
26 times. That's on an average of twice a month. Mm-hmm. And you were met with what you feel was not a respectable response to a customer such as you. At this point, is there something that they could do to win you back?
Probably, because as an old man, I try to take the high road. But what was really taking me aback was the response that I got was, I said, well, just do whatever your heart pleases. When I told them about, look, this is what we've done for you. And then I said, well, in times of disagreements, instead of on Facebook, I wouldn't be opposed to let's just sit down and having a beer together. And the response was, well, you know where to find us.
Okay. All right.
At that point, I said, you know what? You know that thing about when hell freezes over?
Yeah.
Now, again, that I see this and they're coming down and that I think this person is misguided. on there for what you're doing, and you're trying to cloak being. And to make sure of it, Rich, I wanted to give everybody a fair opportunity. I looked at some of the Google thing on at the responses. If you don't give that person a 5-star, you're gonna get a lot of satire.
The satire grumpy mustache. Okay, let's move on to something positive. We're just about to end 2025. Any new restaurants over the course of 2025 that have really impressed you?
Rich, Palm 33.
Yes, that's right. Yes. I forgot that they opened this past year. It seems like they've been around forever.
It has.
Yeah.
Listen, it is a beautiful
I
restaurant.
love that place.
It is family owned. They serve only the best prime beef.
And once again, sorry to cut you off, it's a small menu.
Absolutely.
Love it.
They have a small menu that are going to perfect this. Now, we've met the owners, and you have too. Such great people. They have an in-house bakery, but what the monies that they had spent to fix up that restaurant is a beautiful, elegant restaurant, but it's casual.
There is something, I talked about this, I believe, either when I had them on, I think I did a commentary after they left, but what they did with the design of that restaurant, and I don't have a design background, all I can tell you is what I like. There's something about that restaurant that makes me want to go there, even if I just sat there and had a drink.
Absolutely. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And actually, we've done that before.
But it's not overwhelming either.
There's
a real comfort about sitting in that restaurant.
It is. It is beautiful, but it's just not something you'd like. Well, you know what? This is fine dining, because it's not. It is a nice restaurant with great ambiance, and it's also got great service. They got an in-house bakery, and there's a 95% chance one of the owners is going to come to your table and speak with you.
Yeah.
They want to make sure things are done right there. And they're just good people. And that's one of the few people that told, oh, Jack, you and Beth can eat here free anytime. That's not what we're about.
Yeah,
and they keep on, well, just take a piece of cake. I said, we'll be compromised. And we joke about it now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I remember when you told me about it and you had said, because I'd asked you, I told you my wife and I were going to be going that evening. And I said, what's the attire? And you said, it's casual. You may see somebody in a suit. You may see somebody in shorts. And that's exactly what happened.
What you got. But
I'm looking across the room and I said, oh, look at those 4 people that just sat down, that group of 4. They're all dressed beautifully. Suits, ties. And then I looked across the room and there's a gentleman in cargo shorts.
Well, I like to say that's where the PBR and the Chardonnay mix.
There you go. Okay, so that's one of your new. Do you have more new, or should we go to the old haunts?
That's probably the one of the best ones on the new.
Yeah. What about some of the old haunts that you've been to for years, and you say to yourself after 2025, "Dang, these places are still good."
You know what? My go-to is Sarah J's.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to a restaurant and you see the same waitress that's been there 30-something years,
that's a great sign.
That's a great sign. And listen, she has been there 30-something years, and she does a great job. But also, now, full disclosure, I've known Chase Adams forever, since he was a tiny little kid coming into my video store. Yeah, he's the owner. And he does a great job with that. He wants to make everything right there. And they serve good food at a reasonable price, and you got plenty of it with an absolute beautiful view. Now, that's, I love Sarah J's. Now, also, a newer restaurant that's been here a couple of years is Neil's Creek House.
Yeah.
I like going there.
Yeah.
If you want a good old burger, or you want a fried bologna sandwich, fried oysters, this is a place that's got a beautiful view of the inlet, and they just treat you like everybody wants to be treated. The the servers, they combine all the tips.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been in there before, Rich, many times. A server will not pass you without, hey, you need something?
Yes, I noticed that.
3 or 4 servers.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be your server.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're checking. So I told Zach, I said, man, you have got something going on with this service. You got good food, but at one of the top-notch restaurants with service that I've seen.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll look around there too, he's been there a little over a year, maybe 2 years. He's got a lot of the same staff there.
Yeah.
He treats their employees good, pays them good, and just treats them well. So they stay there, and they formed a team that you know you're going to get good food there.
Yeah. It's also a happy place.
It is.
You know, you could walk into some places and not that they're unhappy, but there's like a vibe. You don't know what you walk in there. It always feels like there's a party going on.
And that's the best way that you could put it. That everybody's smiling there.
Yeah.
For a reason. They're happy. They're just jovial. You know, he's got a huge bar and he got a great local following in there. Now they know your name and they know what you're drinking, but they also. Beth, they had this burger 6 months ago that had tomato jam on it, fried green tomatoes, homemade pimento cheese. It was a special 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So Beth's like, I really like that burger. And they're like, we can do that for you.
Oh, wow.
She went, yeah, we'll fix that for you today.
Yeah, wow.
So now when we go in, the little guy that waits on us says, hey, you want that Beth burger? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
It is that good. There's one other little small place that I love dearly. It's called the Litchfield Restaurant. Now, it's a small diner, Rich. Husband and wife own the thing. They serve such good food at a reasonable price there. I love that place. They're busy at breakfast. They started opening up at dinner and was hardly having anybody. We went there to eat and put a Facebook page on there. Next day we rode by there that evening. That they had a bunch of cars in the parking
good
lot.
for them. Good for them.
So, and they're all homegrown in there, but the food place is changing around here, and it's for the better, and it's for the better simply because it's private owners, independent people getting in there, putting in all their hard work.
Yeah, that's what we like here. We like to see the mom and pop shops. These people have poured everything into it. Their very last dime, and they're hoping to make a living at it, and it's not an easy business. So, So listen, folks, that's going to wrap up 2025. I'm glad I had my dear friend Jack Gregory on to finish out the year. He's given us some restaurants to think about. There's Palm 33, Sarah J's, Neil's Creek House, and what was that last
Litchfield
one?
Restaurant.
Litchfield Restaurant. You should check them all out. Folks, thanks so much for listening throughout the year. I so appreciate it. Want to wish everybody a happy new year. And, hey, you got a lot of places to try. I don't know, are you going out for New Year's? If you stay home, I'm sure it'll be just as good as going out because you are your family's private chef. Happy New Year.